Darkstream, VoxDay, voxday.net, and unauthorized.tv. So first of all, without any further ado, I've got some good news for you. The subscriptions are going to come back this week. They'll be exactly when, yet to be determined in terms of what day, but they are going to be back in action very, very soon. Also, I'm pleased to be able to say that if you go to Amazon, or if you go to Barnes & Noble, or Waterstones, or any of the major bookstores, you can now find Ghost of the Badlands by Razorfist there. So it's also, of course, on the Archaven store, but part of what we do for the creators is give them worldwide distribution. So now folks that don't want to or can't buy it direct have access to it. So that's important. Things are getting pretty crazy. With the whole Ukrainian-Russian situation. Personally, I suspect that we're not at the end, but we're kind of at the beginning of the end. So anyhow, I'm not going to go into that right now. It's there's not enough information yet. But if you're paying any attention to Andrei Martynov or Simplicius, you've got a pretty good idea of, you've got as good an idea as I do. The Gray Man just posted a link there for Ghosts of the Badlands. That's the hardcover. Paperback will be up soon. So, and it's going to be followed pretty quickly by Alt Hero Q and Midnight's War, all of which are going out to the backers reasonably soon. And I've got one more thing to show you that I'm pretty excited about. This is kind of revolutionary in a way, but Dorking Wanderers just announced their new jerseys, and so that's the home jersey. It's their 25th anniversary, so they have a special logo, special 25-year logo on it instead of their usual crest. So that's the home jersey. And then the away jersey, I've got kind of a funny story about this. So this is the away jersey, and if it looks like a certain team that is based in Milano, you're not wrong. The Milanistas in the group were a little bit perturbed by this. And what was kind of funny is we went out to dinner with our favorite at our favorite pizzeria, and the maestro, who's a big Inter fan, and knows that we're Milanistas. We actually get together sometimes to watch the derbies. He went and changed the channel on the TV, put it onto YouTube, and put on repetitive videos of the Inter celebrations, celebrating their winning the Scudetto, the Italian soccer league. And he had actually been there the night before, so it was pretty funny. So anyhow, this is the new Dorking away jersey. And in English football, they always have to have a third jersey. The reason they have to have a third jersey is in case the away jersey happens to clash with the home team's home jersey. So this is their third jersey. I'm not crazy about orange normally. Like, I didn't like their orange jerseys this year, but I kind of like this one because I think it looks better with the black than it did with the dark blue. And it's got kind of like more pattern stuff on the top. So that's pretty cool. But, I'm confident that most of you don't have a great deal of interest in a National League South English football team. Welcome to Wrexham notwithstanding. And um, so what's interesting here, and this is what when I said there's something revolutionary about it, this is what I'm talking about. So uh, now check out the logo on the back. And we're not at the point where we can command front of the shirt sponsorships, but because we're doing the anniversary book for them, we worked out a trade in kind, and so we're producing their 25th anniversary book, Castalia Library is, and they were kind enough to compensate us for that by putting together this sponsorship package. So it doesn't matter which jersey you might prefer. Castalia Libraries on all of them. And so we're going to order, we've arranged to order about 100 jerseys, and the Castalia shipping crew is going to handle it. They've set up, they're setting up a store, etc., etc. The gray man, I don't know if that may actually be the one that you found, but you know, we're pretty excited about this. You know, one of the problems that we've had when we're talking with, you know, Japanese publishers and other foreign publishers is they want to know, like, what's your marketing plan? You know, and you can't really explain to them. There's no such thing as marketing plans anymore. They don't really exist. You know, they just want you to tell them something. You know, give them something that they can discuss, and so it's been really useful in having these conversations with them when they say, so what's your marketing plan? And then we send them a picture of one of these jerseys, and that's just, as far as they're concerned, that's perfect. You know, I strongly suspect it's because they can't tell the difference between a National League South team and a Premiership team, nor do they really care. I mean, the only teams they actually know are they don't generally know the difference between Manchester City, Manchester United, and, you know, the Manchester pub team. So anyhow, this is very useful for us in a number of ways, and you know, it's going to be interesting. The other really big development on the Castalia Library front, well, there's two actually. Number one, the machines are coming in literally this week, and we're going to be moving premises. We can't get it's just not possible to get the new machines into our existing location. So we've arranged to trade locations. It's nicer in some ways, not quite as nice in others. But the main thing is we can actually fit the machines that we need in order to be able to produce more books. And the other really interesting thing is that we may be partnering with a printer. The guy who's been, he provided the book blocks for Thucydides, for the medieval histories, and you know, the 8 books that are in process right now, being bound right now. And so you know, this is going to allow us to have a lot more flexibility in terms of our projects, and give us a lot more reliability, because you know, instead of pulling things together, the stuff is going to be produced in one place, and we're helping make that happen. So I mean, it's not our own printer, but it is to a certain extent. So this is going to be absolutely massive as things continue to change in the industry. It's giving us way more control over what we do, how we do it, when we do it. It should help us produce books faster. And here's the coolest thing. This isn't going to mean much to a lot of you, but it creates the possibility of eventually upgrading to letterpress. It's going to be a while, but if we can get to the point where we're also doing letterpress for the interiors, the quality, I mean, that's basically going to be pretty much the highest possible quality, higher quality than Franklin ever did. So that's what we're working towards. And, unfortunately on Pride and Prejudice, the U.S. bindery still has the what do you call it? A problem with their box machine. So they haven't been shipped yet to the warehouse. We're still waiting on that. We'll keep you posted. We're going to send out the Castalia House newsletter this month to everybody. We haven't been quite as good about doing that just because, people are pretty well informed with Castalia Library. Nibmeister says, you'll miss the chocolate shop, huh? Well, all I can say is no. Let's just say that I have even better connections. That's a 1.6 kilo dark chocolate Easter bunny. So yeah, I'm not gonna miss the chocolate shop next to the current bindery location at all. But that was a gift, obviously. So anyhow, you have enough to share with the class? Of course not. That's my dark chocolate. I don't share dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is not for sharing. Anyhow, so that's kind of the immediate info dump. Basically, if you're interested in a jersey, we're going to you just shoot an email to castaliashipping@gmail.com. If the sites are up, if the links are already up on we'll get them up soon. Get them out to everybody. But like I said, we'll have about 100 jerseys available. We can always get more later, but initially we'll have 100 jerseys available. Probably have a mix, about half more of the home and the away than the third jerseys, I would think. But anyhow, this is the first. I think this is really the first. No, we did have a Castalia Library. No, we had a Castalia House shirt some years ago, but this is one of the first times we've ever had any Castalia Library related stuff. So, so it's pretty cool. I'm very excited about getting mine. I did tell my Italian friend, because he wants me to go to an Inter game with him, and I said, now I would, but I would only go if I was wearing a Dorking jersey. I just would not wear any actual Inter stuff. He said that was close enough. In fact, he said that because because of the choice to go with that jersey, we were guaranteed promotion this year. So that could be kind of painful if it actually happens, but we'll see. I'm not Orthodox. What? No, it's not Orthodox Easter. Um, so anyhow, uh, that's like I said. That's the info dump. I guess one question that I have for you guys is, what are things that you might like to see on unauthorized that we're not doing yet? Um, because we're now that we've gotten to the point where we've got this new setup uh, coming, and we're going to have Roku and we're going to have iOS and that sort of thing, as well as having our own stuff um, that you'll have direct access to. The question is, what are some of the things that people want to see, that people want to have? Because, Castalia Library has really been upping its game significantly. You wouldn't have seen it yet much because, you don't have the new leathers, you don't have the books with the new leathers, and it's going to be a while before some of them start coming out. But, because we've run tests, I mean, you can see some of them right behind me. UATV, remember what you've seen and where you left off. Okay, that's a good feature. I was actually thinking more in terms of more in the context of content, but I'm certainly open to any suggestions that you might have on just regular features as well. We're going to have multiple ways to watch. So what we're trying to do is get the web player to have easier Chromecast buttons. Okay. Add favorites, yes, like what you've seen. Okay. So basically, start using the accounts more intelligently is what I'm hearing. And we do want to have stuff that's more personalized, because the nice thing, I have friends who are always interested in UATV more when I mention anything to do with guns. Yeah, I agree, that's probably a good idea, especially because guns are so difficult. Gun-related stuff is so difficult for YouTube. A chat that is shown on rebroadcast, I'm not crazy about that, to be honest. Live stream audio only for slow internet, that's a good idea, yeah. Have you looked at a news broadcast? Yes, but that's not cost effective. I mean, what we'd probably do if we wanted to have a news broadcast is to have a separate news subscription and see enough support for that to justify it. If there's one thing we've learned, it's a mistake to just throw stuff out there, especially if it's expensive, to throw stuff out there and just hope people like it. As a general rule, if money's tight for people these days. How about a science channel? That's a great idea. The problem with something like science channels and stuff like that is, and this is the strange thing, people who are perfectly willing to give away their content for a decade on YouTube typically don't want to do something on a private channel without getting directly compensated for that. So, so it's, I mean, if there's somebody who's interested in doing a science channel or a group of people, we'd be happy to talk to them. The other problem, of course, is that everybody has ideas, but the number of people who actually want to do the work on a regular basis tends to be much, much smaller. I mean, for example, we talked a bit, and I've gotten a few emails from people that want to do this do-it-yourself channel, which we'd love to have on unauthorized. But there's no videos. There's no. I mean, it just hasn't come together, and so For some reason, some of the only people that uh, that can be relied upon to stream regularly are basically uh, game streamers, like Twitch type streamers, uh, and people who rant about politics. You know, everybody else runs out of steam really, really fast. Wrangler Star is unusual in that regard. Fonzie Bear says you have to actually find content creators willing to be on unauthorized almost. Well, the thing is that there's plenty of people that want to be on unauthorized that don't really do content. You know, I'll get emails saying I'd love to be on unauthorized, um, and then they don't really do anything. You know. And then you've got people who are saying, "Oh, you should get Nick Fuentes on unauthorized," which made no sense. I did talk to Nick about it. Um, it didn't make sense for him. It didn't make sense for us. Um, Look, Etherstar, if you want to do a science channel on unauthorized, I will be delighted to have you do it. I I literally can't think of anyone better to do it. Um, but I know how busy you are, and so, um, and um, and also, Dan in Alabama says Nick has his own streaming site. Dan, this was before then, and uh, Nick's streaming site uh, was it Cozy TV or something? Um, that was so obvious. That's when it became obvious that he was a well-funded gatekeeper because, I mean, they they put that thing together for him so fast it wasn't even funny. Um, and speaking of gatekeepers, that was kind of what I was gonna make the topic be about. I know a lot of you, uh, if you're an unauthorized subscriber, you understand the way the world works. You understand that, the reason that we do paid subscriptions and uh, um, is because if you're going to operate outside the mainstream narrative, you're not going to be permitted to use the mainstream channels, right? And that's fine. We know how it works. But what you may not realize is how hard they push these gatekeepers on you. Now, I can't verify that this is accurate, but I saw something today where I think it was on Social Galactic. Might have been Gab, but I think it was Social Galactic. And they were talking about how the Daily Wire has spent $8 million on advertising Ben Shapiro on Facebook. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, if Unauthorized had $8 million to spend on video stuff, we would be doing full length. We would do it like animated shows. We would be doing gold plated 12K streams. You know, I mean, we wouldn't be spending it on Facebook. Like, hey, Facebook. Yeah, Fonzie Bear says that's not pushing, that's shoving. I mean, think about this. If they're spending that much on Facebook, imagine how much they're spending on Google, on YouTube. And the funny thing is, despite all of those efforts, he doesn't have anywhere near the impact on the cultural discourse that Owen does, that Razor does, that I do. you know. Here we go, March 10th, 2023. The Daily Wire has spent over $5.7 million on at least 558 ads on Meta's platforms. I mean, it's unbelievable. That's how much they value trying to grab people's eyeballs. And now you see why they go to such efforts to try to minimize the influence of people who are capable of successfully competing with the Shapiros, with the Petersons, with the Rogans. You know, now it's fine. I don't care. You know, I mean, I shudder to think how many animals we would end up with if I had millions of dollars. You know, I mean, I do what I like to do. Okay, now granted, if we were if we had those kind of resources, our books would be unbelievable. You know, we would do all kinds of forget letterpress. I mean, we'd be doing you know, gold ink. By the way, I just got an email from Owen, and I can confirm that I'm going to be on Owen's stream on Wednesday. So I think it'll be around 4 p.m. West Coast time. So I guess that's 7 p.m. East Coast time. A billionaire started the funding for Daily Wire back in the day. I have no idea who, but it was somebody. Yeah, there was some Texas billionaire who, you know, hooked up with what's his name, Boring. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you know, and I remember when Ben made the decision that instead of thinking for himself and instead of being honest, he was going to pursue success. And now he's got it, you know. It doesn't strike me as being worth it. I mean, you know, to sell your soul for $8 million in Facebook advertising is just depressing. I mean, it's unbelievable. They claim $100 million in revenue on the Daily Wire. And the thing is, that may well be real because it's all money that's just being given to them by the establishment. You know, have you ever? I mean, I'm probably the only person you've ever known who's actually read a Ben Shapiro book. And yes, it was terrible. You know, I mean, he pretty much defines midwit. Labadal says, I'm loving the appearances with Owen and JDA lately. Well, let's face it. I am not really an ideal figure to do individual rambling. You know, I don't have the vulgar eloquence of Razorfist. My interests are not really all that conducive to discussing much in depth. Just because, you know, I'm a book guy. You know, I mean, it was kind of funny. Some I don't remember if it was Fox or who it was, Washington Post. There was some reporter who was just being a bit persistent. I was just like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I don't talk to the media. No, thank you. And, you know, he's being really persistent. Finally, I just sent an email saying, if you want to know what I think, there are 15 books, 525 columns, and 25,000 blog posts that you can read, that should cover it. You know, there's no secrets. You know, I mean, yeah, there's some unarticulated, generally incoherent thoughts I might have about a few things, a few random ideas that are still in the process of coming into form and that sort of thing. But I don't want to talk about them, you know? And what's the point in talking about anything at the level of the 90 IQ mainstream media? You know, I mean, what are you going to say? Ukraine lose. Russia win. China win. US no make stuff bad. How does that, first of all, how is that new? How do you not know that from everything I've written in the past 5-10 years? And what benefit is there in spelling that sort of stuff out? The Gray Man says, I've never been into streamers, and Vox is the only one I've ever managed to enjoy. That's because I'm not a proper streamer. You know, I should be doing, you know, lots of things, and I should have a producer like making funny clips and bits and sounds, or I should do it myself. And, you know, frankly, it's just not happening. I don't want to do it. I'm willing to do this because I think that it's useful for us to have this vehicle of communication. But honestly, I think Substack is pretty close to the pinnacle. The Gray Man says, I remember the complaints from the Gamma Secret Kings back in 2019 being how slow he talked. Yeah, I do. I speak slowly, much more slowly than I do normally, because I'm very well aware that anything I say is something that I'm going to have to answer for at some point in time. So I want to make sure that I'm not just running at the mouth, saying things that I haven't thought through, saying things that I don't think, that I don't believe, just so that I can be more entertaining. You know, I'd rather talk about either projects that we're doing, and you know, I'm not even that interested in trying to go too deep into the ideas, just because I don't really think that this is an ideal medium for it. I mean, you'll see what my idea of that would be when we do the Taiwan invasion thing. Let's see here, somebody sent this screenshot. The bibliography. He said, this shows what? This shows what does it show? He said, I screenshotted Shapiro's bibliography to show why he definitely took that Daily Wired money. Okay. So we've got this this screenshot here. It says, brainwashed, how universities indoctrinate America's youth, WND Books. Porn generation, how social liberalism is corrupting our future. Project President, bad hair and Botox on the road to the White House. Thomas Nelson. It's funny that Thomas Nelson published that around the same time that they turned down both The Red Hand of Government. Actually, that was the one they turned down. They also turned down The Irrational Atheist. Primetime Propaganda, the true Hollywood story of how the left took over your TV. I really doubt that he told the true story about Hollywood. Bullies, how the left's culture of fear and intimidation silences America. The People versus Barack Obama, the criminal case against the Obama administration. And then he's trying to get intellectual here. And A Moral Universe Torn Apart. What's Fair and Other Short Stories. Amazon ebook only, no longer available. This must be so bad. True Allegiance. I think that's one of his novels. I think that's another oh dear. No, John Ringo, no. Say It So, Papa, Dad, and Me in the 2005 White Sox championship season. So that's his desire to try to imitate the sports guy. The Right Side of History. That's the only book that I've read of his. The Right Side of History, How Reason and Moral Purpose Made the West Great. That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. And he completely failed to understand that Jerusalem is a metaphor referring to Christianity. It is not about the actual historical city of Jerusalem. Facts Don't Care About Your Feelings. Facts Still Don't Care About Your Feelings. How to Destroy America in 3 Easy Steps. I'm guessing he didn't say allow Jewish immigration, but I could be wrong. Anyhow, I mean, what a joke. What a bad joke. The Gray Man says, Vox is expounding on questions in chat, help make sense of some of his complex ideas. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the good things about streaming. You know, I think it's useful that we can have a level of back and forth in real time to help people understand things that maybe they don't get. Etherstar says, I have trouble believing that HarperCollins is publishing an intellectual rebel. They're not. HarperCollins actually sat on Nick Cole's books until I called them up and asked them nicely to let him go. And fortunately, they had sufficient regard for me and really more for the VFM that they were amenable, and Nick got his rights back, and so that was good. That was great. I mean, that's something that, you know, this community may not realize, but you know, the VFM are the reason why Nick got his rights back, because nobody in the publishing industry wanted to go through what Tor did. You know, that was not only epic, it is still whispered about in publishing circles. Sapient Avenger said, I even read a John Scalzi book. I'll pass on Ben's books. Scalzi is a better writer than Shapiro. Scalzi's not a good writer. He's a mediocre writer, but he is a writer. If I read one Nick Cole book, what should it be? I'm going to say something probably very, very controversial, but I think that Nick's best book is almost certainly the zombie apocalypse one. It may sound crazy because it's essentially, you know, an apocalyptic horror novel, but it's also a genuinely it's a genuine love story. Etherstar said, how did I miss the Tor story? I think it was before your time, perhaps. Is it on the blog? No. It's not something I talk about publicly. You know, I don't really believe in rubbing people's noses and things. Let's just say that there's a reason why the VFM, there's not a reason. There are numerous reasons why the VFM are both feared and respected. And, when they're called on, they get the job done. You know, there's some of them. There's only ever one or two things where they all, you know, where they all saddled up at the same time. Usually it's just a few, you know. But when they get the call, they always respond and they always get it done. So, um, it's kind of funny because, you know, when people look you up on the internet, which they do these days, and it's always amusing when people are like, so why do they call you Supreme Dark Lord? And my favorite answer is, well, uh, I have what's the exact number of, you know, 565 vile, faceless minions who are sworn to mindless obedience, um, and they occasionally get necessary things done. People always look at you like you're kidding. You've got to be kidding. And I just, say, I'm not kidding at all. You um, and you know, it's pretty amusing. The Rogue Roman said, "I appreciated Gods of Egypt because the Dark Lord in that movie was a Sigma." What was Gods of Egypt? That wasn't like the sequel to The Mummy or something, was it? I'm not, I'm not familiar with that one. I have to admit, we've been watching Shogun and the new Shogun, and I'm also rereading the novel at the same time. And it's really interesting to see how uh, Toranaga, or the fictionalized version of Tokugawa, um, he's pretty obviously a Sigma. Um, I don't know. I see. Movie about Egyptian mythology. Set was played as a Sigma by Gerard Butler. That makes sense. Um, but it's really interesting to see how the SSH profiles are often pretty easy to see. Um, I was reading about um, this guy who was into motorcycle, um, driving a motorcycle and so forth, and uh, he ended up getting paralyzed and killed himself, and it was just all completely awful. But the thing that was really interesting is that his mindset, even though he seemed to be a fairly you know reasonably popular guy, you know um, popular with women, etc., etc. Even before his accident, it was pretty clear that he had a pretty strong gamma strain to him. You're just very hard atheist, hard delusion bubble about himself. Um, and it was, um, I think that to a certain extent, some of the self-loathing that he felt for himself after the accident was actually probably there all along. But uh, VD sent you an email about usernames I registered for you years ago to keep ankle biters away. I vaguely recall. Um, Vox, is there any chance for future debates? I'm never going to rule it out completely, but I don't really see much point in it, considering that I've debated people that uh, people claim are intellectually formidable, economists, atheists, biologists, even on philosophy. And when you look at the results, first of all, it doesn't really seem to change anybody's mind about anything. Secondly, I've been very disappointed with the way that people who are supporters of somebody just blindly declare that that person did a great job and won the debate and blah blah blah. And you're looking at it going, that person didn't even begin to address a single thing that I said, might not have even understood it, and had nothing new or interesting to offer that wasn't easily dealt with. So to quote the old Missing Persons song, when no one listens anymore, what are words for? What are debates for if no one's even going to pay any attention to what either party is saying? So if you can convince me that, if there's somebody who's like actually serious about debating and actually has a firm position, a firm articulated position that they can defend, or if they're willing to engage in a genuine substantive attack on your position, then sure, why not? But otherwise, what's the point? So what's Milo up to these days? I have no idea. I haven't heard from Milo in 2 years. So I don't know if he has any books in the works. We were supposed to publish his Feminism is Cancer, but he didn't want to publish it. So c'est la vie. All right, well, that's all I've got for tonight. I will see you on both Wednesday and Thursday. On Wednesday, I will be appearing on Owen's stream. And on Thursday, it's Archaven Nights. And in fact, I think I'm going to play you the full Archaven Nights. Well, I don't know where it is right now. I'll see if I can find it. Actually, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to make John play it. So, all right, battery's dying. We should go. I'm Vox Day. This is Unauthorized TV and the literal Darkstream.